So welcome back to my video on mark making and art journaling and swatch inspiration. I wanted to show you one of the most inspiring books that I have found on mark making, which is called Expressive Mark Making Techniques in Mixed Media. And it's by Ray Missigman, and she just sums up mark making in the best way and gives the most beautiful examples, everything from stencils to using food items like, if you cut off celery, stamping with celery, just some really inspiring tutorials, and she'll kind of go over everything from all the different writing or mark making implements that she loves. I use quite a few of these, and this is just really helpful when you are first starting, because she'll give sort of a description of, for instance, this Liquitex paint marker, that it's an opaque color and it's also waterproof. I'm finding that the Sharpie water-based acrylic paint pen, which I love and have used all the time, they are changing their recipe and it's cheaper, and these don't work as well. So I might actually try the Liquitex. I love the Neocolor Caran d'Ache that she talks about. But yeah, this book is amazing because it's just all about different ways when you're sort of beginner or an artist that's maybe more advanced and a bit stuck with your work and your mark making, and you want to learn more or get into mixed media. These tools are awesome. So she also talks about different types of paints. She talks about finger painting, and I actually love this book. I could go before I fall asleep at night, I could just like flip through this book, and it makes me so happy. It gives me so many ideas, and I've had this book for quite a long time. So I did purchase this one. This isn't a library book, but I'm sure you can get this one at the library. There's a few pages in here, like just looking at this, it just brings me so much joy. I see a lot of these marks kind of coming through in my work. I love the dots, and so as you can see, she uses a lot of the dot work, and I do as well. The botanicals, I've been very inspired by Laura Horn art, an Australian mixed media artist. I've taken so many of her classes, and so she's another inspiration of mine. And one of my favorite classes of Laura's is the melting pot class, which I believe is on sale right now. I think it's $27 US, or sorry, Australian. But it is an amazing class, and I feel like it's sort of what got me into finding my style. So I just wanted to show you Ray Missigman's book. I also wanted to mention another artist I love, Wendy Brightbill. I've taken a lot of her classes. She's out of Colorado, and she's an incredible artist. She does use a lot of oils, but her classes are just full of content, and they're amazing. This is really funny. This is a page that I had done in 2019, so March of 2019. When I was first really getting into art, trying to find my own style. And I basically took just some colors, a painting that I was working on and didn't like, and then just played around over top. And I watched one of Laura Horn's videos, and I just put down as many elements that I loved from her work. I think most of these were from Laura Horn. I think I've written it down. Yeah, inspired by Laura Horn. And I even wrote on here, use the end of a skewer, and then I wrote down that this is actually a Posca pen, but if I was to do it the way Laura had taught, I would use an acrylic ink, a permanent ink, and dip a skewer in and paint that way, which I thought was so cool. So this page to me is just, it's sort of like a beautiful mess of inspiration. And so I still go back to this if I'm working on a painting and I'm a bit stuck. I'll just take a quick glance at it and I'm like, oh, you know what? I haven't used, for instance, geometrics in my work for a while, or, oh, maybe I feel like doing a portrait. Maybe I'll do some line work like this. These little bird footprints I love. That actually wasn't Laura Horn. That was just something I kind of came up with, which I'm sure has been done somewhere before. But yeah, this is an example of what I was telling you about in my previous YouTube video that I just recorded, about getting down these swatches of color however you want, just taking an old painting, going over top of it with marks that you love. So it's a great practice. So I consider this part of my inspiration file for mark making. And I also developed, this is kind of funny, I developed a little map in my art journal. So I had made this art journal. It's just a jumble of different things right now. A lot of writing, and yeah, it's something I love to flip through. I've just sort of started it. But anyways, the map that I had done in here is when I do these watercolor backgrounds. At the time, I really loved how they started to turn out. And I thought, on days when I'm a bit tired, I want to know what marks I had used. And oddly enough, I call myself an intuitive artist. However, I developed this map of sorts where I look at it, and if I feel like stuck in a painting, I can see, the addition of pastel pinks. If you mix fluorescent red and white, you get this beautiful vivid pink. So I use that in a lot of my work. And I can just look at this and remind myself, maybe consider line work, white with watercolor pencil. So just giving myself some ideas, making leaves or feathers. So this was something I have gone back to so many times, and I see it come through in all of my work. There's that fluorescent white and pink fluorescent red and white mixed together to create that pink. That beautiful gold moon, which I love because I love that round shape next to organic, abstract watercolor marks. Those little roses, the dots. Now the dots are something I'm going to do right now. I'm going to just flip over to this particular journal page I was working on. I'm going to take a black jelly roll pen, and I'm going to start doing my little signature E's. I am going to turn it upside down. And the reason I'm going to turn it upside down, and this pen actually is not, I'm going to use my Posca pen just because the jelly roll pen is not dark enough for video. So I'm going to do my signature E's upside down. It's like a handwritten E. And I went through the whole alphabet at one point in time when I was trying to decide on what mark making I love. And I came out with this little E. Right now I'm going in over top of the light lime green color. And when I add marks like this particular one, I like to add it in more than one place. So I chose 2 spots. So in this case, I chose this light green and this light green, 2 different places in the work just to kind of make it cohesive, because if you've gone to art school, or if you have some background in traditional art, they say that if you repeat marks in your work, you give the viewer more interest in your work. So it moves the eye around, and it just kind of makes the whole piece more cohesive. What I do with this particular little letter E, after I'm done, I decide, okay, do I want to use which metallic? So I think I'm going to use a bronze metallic, and I just add a little dot in the middle. And that became one of the signature marks that is in almost all of my work, my watercolor work, my art poetry paintings, because I just started to love it. And this is one that I had, I feel like I kind of made up myself. I'm sure someone uses a very similar mark. But I went through the whole alphabet and I played around with different letters and marks to find something I thought would be kind of cool. One trick I want to show you right now is, you notice I turned my book upside down to do the letter E. So when I did that, the letter E is facing up. If I had done it this way, obviously it would be facing the other way. And I realized that because I have the movement of this botanical and this one going up, and some of these lines kind of going up, I didn't want to have an upward E. I wanted variety. So I made it so the energy, and I turned the E upside down. So that's just a little tip, which maybe it didn't make a whole lot of sense the way I explained it. I'm not sure how I am for time here, but I'm gonna just keep going. So, let me just see here. 1, 2. That's just an example of one mark that I love. I also love doing these little birds in my work, and I use a Posca pen. This is my favorite black pen, and I'll do a bird sort of near the moon. I'll find a spot where I want maybe something that's slightly elevated, like this particular point, and I make it so it looks like the bird is sort of coming in off to the side and just sitting on that point. So if I want to draw attention to a particular area, that's where I put one of my little birds. It could be a butterfly. Obviously they're very abstract, but this was just something that I came up with because I really liked. And I'm gonna put one or two more in here. Maybe I'll do one more just right over here, over top of the yellow, because it's a little bit lighter. You can see it better. And I'm just gonna color this in black. Oops, and that's okay. Just make it a little bit bigger. So a happy accident, my hand slipped, and it's just gonna be a little bit bigger. Well, quite a bit bigger, but again, that's okay. This is just like play, right? It just looks like it's kind of coming forth more. I also, in this piece, I feel like I really liked the line work, which is something sort of new that I've just started adding. I love the line work I did here. So I might actually do some line work right here. I am going to use Posca pen, this sort of corally color. Because this is going off in this direction, I am going to, let me just think, do I want it? I want it to be the opposite. So I think I want it to lean like in this direction. And you can see how I'm putting a little bit of energy into the line work by not going super fast. Do I want to go further down and repeat it? I'm just gonna go like that, repeat it down there, and maybe over here. And I like that, that's interesting. And I'm gonna go over that with a slightly, another variation of this color. And I'm just gonna check how we are for time. I'm not sure, I'm just gonna do a little bit more. I try and record for about 10 minutes, just because of uploading. So as far as other marks, these little dots I absolutely love. I try and zero in on dark areas to put the dots. So in this particular one, I'm thinking I would probably put some dots on that beautiful fuchsia. I'm going to, I always work on multiples at a time. I did not put dots in here yet, and instead of, maybe I will do them in the dark green, or I'm not sure if that would be too busy. I think I could either do the dark green or the orange, or I don't want to do the yellow. I like that as sort of a resting place for the eye. So I might actually do this light green in here. So what I am going to use is this Posca paint pen. I absolutely love these for my dot work. They come in different tips, but this one is a fine tip, and it's just wonderful for the tiny dots. You just really have to know how to kind of care for the pens, and don't ever use them on a wet paint. And this one is running out, so I think that's maybe, trying to see if that's a place I can stop my video soon. So I'm just gonna put in some of these dots, and I won't make you sit through the whole thing, but you can see I'm finding that same lime green color throughout the painting up here as well, and I'm repeating the lines, the dots, the mark making. I'm gonna go in behind here. Could go over top. I kind of like to go in behind, and what I do is I make one big dot every few dots, and the reason for that is it gives the eye a little bit more interest. If they're all the same size, it may be considered more, I guess you could say, perfect, but we are practicing wabi-sabi, the art of imperfection, and what would be more appealing to the eye is actually not perfection. It's a variation of sizes of marks. So I'll do a few more when I turn the camera off, just so you don't have to sit through this, but these paint pens are awesome for dot work. So stay with me, I'll be posting another video soon.